The average marriage, don't know if you know this, lasts 12 years. And we think we might have a solution for making them last even longer. Premarital couples counselling. Now, it might sound unromantic, but according to therapists, it's becoming increasingly popular and can prevent problems before they arise. And some people are even giving sessions as a wedding present. What do you think, Janet?
I think it's a really good idea, actually, because when you see... I actually hate the whole idea of wedding present lists. After people reach a certain age, I do think it's really, really cheeky to ask people to cough up for a wedding present list. And quite often the things on the list, you know, they might be toasters, they might be cutlery, or they might be contributing towards their honeymoon. And I'm just thinking, you know, based on my track record, I've had 4 marriages, yes. Would they have lasted longer if I'd had counselling before them? Obviously, I went to counselling later on in them. I think that marriage is a big step, and you have, in a relationship up to getting married, you have disagreements, and then you've got the flexibility of one can have the last word, but you don't really understand that when you get married, you move to that level where you're going to have to. It's a big step, and you need to be able to communicate with each other and also understand what the other person really means, because what men say and what they mean are 2 different things. And what women say and what we mean. So I think this is a fantastic idea. Obviously, how you give it to people, you've got to know them well, and you've got to give it with love and make sure it's received with love. But I think it's a really, really good idea.
And you have to think, I think, that they're both
up for it.
Because if they're not and they've no idea and you hand them that, cheers for the confidence just before the wedding. I'm with you. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think even, you know, it's supposedly before people get married, but I think people should have more counselling in general, you know, because I have friends, I have relatives, you know, that have had counselling because they've had problems in relationships and everything. And the difference in them after the counselling is incredible, and they've changed and the relationships change. And I think people have this real thing of seeing counselling as failures or, oh, I don't want to tell a stranger anything. But you'll go to a doctor and tell him all your intimate physical details. So why would you not go to...
and
another doctor and tell them your emotional
and that's what they're trained to do. And I think as well that a lot of people think that giving counselling or going to counselling means that there's a problem in your relationship. But actually, if you go before there's a problem and you learn how to communicate, because 99% of problems in any relationship is, and that's even just, you know, a normal relationship, friendship, you know, colleagues, whatever, is communication. So if you learn, exactly like you said, why does someone react in that way? And what Nick and I have been going to counselling for the past 5 months or so. And I know when I first sort of told friends or what have you, is everything all right? No, everything's great. And actually, we just wanted to make sure, because we work together as well, we run a website, so we're literally sitting side by side by the, you know, at a desk, we're talking about work things at night when we get into bed. How can we communicate with each other so that we see each other as husband and wife and not just as work partners, and and make sure the communication lines stay.
It's giving you the tools to know how to do that.
It's interesting, what people have written in, actually, the views are quite polarising. So we've got Zanitia, she's put, if you're considering counselling before getting married, then you shouldn't be getting married in the first place. Interesting. And then Sarah says, before we got married in, one of the stipulations of getting married in the church was 2 sessions of counselling. We both initially laughed about it, but then both came away feeling closer and more prepared for what married life will bring. I had counselling just a few years ago, but I was actually becoming... It was affecting my marriage and it was affecting me being a parent. So I went to the counsellor, and a lot of me is about, I think I can deal with myself, I know who I am, but actually they take you to a different level. And it does go back to a lot of your childhood. And I realised that actually I was actually a very angry person because there were lots of things I hadn't resolved. So I went to counselling, but the counsellor did say, in order for your marriage to survive, your husband really needs to go. So he went away, and I genuinely can tell you, we have arguments, don't get me wrong, that hasn't stopped. But the way we deal with an argument is totally different to how we would before. I'd go away, I wouldn't speak to him for 3 days, he'd sulk, and we just don't do that.
What we realised...
It really has helped, but one thing we haven't done is been to counselling together.
I tried that with a husband that I shouldn't have married in the first place.
How did it go?
Well, after we got married and it was obviously not working out, I went to a counsellor. We had to go separately. I went first, then he went, and then we had to have one together to see if we could be in the same room. And when I arrived, he locked himself in the toilet. Said, if she's here, I'm not coming out.
There you go, then.
And the counsellor, I think you've got your answer. But, you know, I can joke about that because that counsellor was brilliant because she laid it on the line and said, this marriage is never, ever going to work.
Yeah.
And the best kind of counsellors they don't just sit there and let you waffle on. They are constructive and help you. Yeah. And I've been to counsellors alone and with my partner, and I just think that people spend so much money now on holidays and honeymoons and things like that. And spend a little bit of that money that you would be spending on those things on, you know...
On the relationship.
On emotional stuff. And in mental health as well.
Absolutely.
I've had counselling. I've had counselling in the past, and it's the best thing. I literally recommend it to everyone.
Yeah.
And loads of people go, oh, I wouldn't know what to say. And I also, you don't have... If you don't want to, don't say anything. But they're so good at what they do that they will guide you.
Absolutely.
You know? So
no, I'm the same. I thoroughly recommend it. I've had counselling on my own this year. I've had a bit of a bumpy year this year, and couples counselling as well. And it's made a huge, huge difference because you realise what you're lugging around. You don't realise you're lugging everything.
I think people have got to get rid of this idea that talking therapy is only for people who are having serious issues, either addiction issues or anxiety issues. Counselling should be something that is just as normal as, like, we were saying earlier, going to the gym. It should be no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think I might stick a counselling voucher in Steve's stocking this year.
Nice. Very romantic. Very romantic.